get over some bumps on this account. I just wanted to tell myself I want to see if I could get to plat somehow with just ADC. And I was watching a couple of your videos. I think maybe I started watching your videos about maybe a month ago, and I've just been trying to practice some of those principles with Ashe. But um, there's a lot of things that I see errors with, and I think it's with my way of thinking. Um, when should I group? When should I push? When should I use this lead to win the game? And I think the video that I sent you, it's an older video. I think it might be about 2 days old, but I think it's a great video because it really shows on a general basis how my games go, where I might start off really bad in the beginning, but I'll get some traction and I'll do fine, but I can't use my weight to carry the team.
Interesting. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's like kind of, once you kind of get a lead, what do you do with it, right? And also we're looking at kind of the mindset of like an AD carry versus like a support, right? Because you're like, oh, as a support, it makes a lot more sense to me versus like AD carry, and that makes sense because even though you're sharing the same lane, you're like doing something completely different, right?
Right.
in a
Right.
different role. So I guess let's get down into it.
Okay.
Sound good?
Let's go.
All right, cool. Let's fast forward past this loading part. Blah blah blah. So what do you think about your laning phase? Cause
Um, Definitely do not like my laning phase.
okay, okay.
I feel it because early game is definitely like a really volatile part, and it's very important to have your late game tied down. I mean your early game tied down. Sorry, but I feel like I come through a little bit better in the mid to late game. I feel a lot more proper in the role, but my early game could definitely be a lot better. My CSing
Interesting,
is not
interesting.
where it needs to be, I think, in my opinion. But
Is this the new Ash skin? Holy shit!
yeah,
This looks sick.
you never
Yeah.
seen it? You didn't see it?
Nah. I saw like the champion spotlight thing, the champion skin spotlight thing, but haven't actually really seen
Oh,
it.
yeah, I had
So
to buy it on the Smurf. I was like, it just looks too cool. So
yeah, it looks sick. Okay, so let's back it up real quick. Okay, so when you see like this lane, what are your thoughts? Like how do you win lane, so to speak? And what is winning lane? We can start there. What is winning lane?
in my opinion, I think winning lane is when you come up in gold and you're able to um, push the enemy out of their lane and take the objective and being able to group with your teammates. I think that's what winning the lane is.
All right, so let me pose a question. What if you're playing a hyper carry like Twitch and you're playing against the Caitlyn, right? You're not uh, uh, uh what you just said usually isn't possible for Twitch, right? So wouldn't you have like a different goal or mindset going into the lane if you're depending on the
Right.
matchup, right?
Yeah.
So maybe going even in like a losing lane would be like winning. If wait, does that make it? Did that make sense? Or
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You definitely just don't want to get the enemy ahead, right? Like you
Mhm,
don't want
mhm.
to do anything crazy and feed or make it harder for yourself to actually win the game from when it comes to bot lane.
Hmm. So yeah, so like something on like a super hyper carry. If you're down 20 CS, maybe sometimes that can be okay, right? Because due to the nature of the champions. So
Right.
tell me, do you see anything wrong with the first way? We like when you look at laning phase, you look at there are like a lot of things to look at in laning phase, right? But
Hmm.
the best way to go about it is to um look at every single wave and every single like minion, like what's going on with every minion, right? Like, okay, you're pushing, which is really strong here, right? You play Ash, you volley like 5 minions or something, and then you guys are fighting for level 2. Sure, they have low value abilities on you, and then what happens on these minions, right? So tell me, do you notice anything uh that should be changed when we look at these first minions?
Uh, Going back, I think I should like. I think I'm getting traded pretty easily. Like
Hmm.
that's what I'm looking at now. I can't remember what my thinking was back then, but I was like, okay, I just need to keep CSing. So I guess I get stuck in this habit of just brainlessly, mindlessly CSing, And after like kind of watching this little clip over and over again, it seems like I should not have pushed or went for a certain CS at certain points because the lane was going to come to me regardless.
So this is what I'm thinking. Okay, so this is a classic example of like the early game laning. This is like first two waves or whatever, right? So say you have a Thresh. How strong is Thresh level 1?
Pretty strong if he took E.
Right. It takes the flay. It's gonna auto attack and power E flay, and then he like maybe ignite if they find something. It's disgusting because by the time the second wave comes around, he's gonna do it again, and then they're gonna die. Right. So how about level 1 Alistar? How strong is that?
Oh god, I hate Alistair. It's pretty strong, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Level 1. Well, level 1 though, right?
Level.
How can he walk up
Mm,
level? He can't walk up level 1, right? It's
right.
like
Okay. So he doesn't have the combo.
right. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have he can't gap close, right? Thresh has some range, right? Okay, what about Leona level 1? Is that more similar to Alistar or Thresh?
Thresh.
Why do you say
I'm,
that?
I'm only I'm only basing that off of like I think how I think I played Leona because of the fact that you could punish an ADC for going forward and getting a CS, whether it be like a Q or throwing the E, because throwing the E, little small stun.
Okay,
So
maybe she
like
takes
that,
E level 1. You
right,
might have some kind of like range, some kind of power, right? But
right,
generally speaking, these champions are kind of useless level 1, right? So
okay, right,
same with
right.
I mean honestly, I don't really see this Ornn. I don't know what this shit does, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty weak level 1, right? So when you notice that you have like kind of poor level 1 powers, right? When you have a poor level 1 support, don't expect them to like do anything, right? So this is like a 1v2, 1v1. This is going to be 1v1 because this guy can't do anything either, right? It's like very different when you like say for example you're playing Alistar Ashe versus Varus Nami. What do you do level 1? You don't trade, right? Because you're going to get walked all over because of the matchup.
Right.
So whenever you see you have something like this, be very careful trying to fight for minions, especially when you have like no minions yourself. That's like an indicator of you can't actually do anything, right? So when you see this, when I see this, it's like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can hit these minions, but the instant you see that Varus is killing them faster than you can't fight him, right? Because you're gonna tank minions and you're gonna tank his auto attacks, and then
I see what you're
you're
saying.
just gonna lose out on the trade, right? So this is kind of the concept of like, it's like patience. Patience is like very valuable in League because most people are impatient, right?
Right.
Turn on the AC real quick. So, whenever you are in doubt of being able to do something like CS for free or last hit or pressure or anything, um, be more cautious than not, right? Because this happened, you can't do anything, right? You have no HP, right?
Right.
And the reason why we're like spending so much time on this like one little thing is because this is like can happen throughout the whole game. Like for example, you're 50 minutes and you're sieging a tower and you have rapid fire cannon. The enemy AD carry walks up, you hit him, they can't defend the tower anymore because it's the same kind of concept, except a lot more dangerous and faster, right? So this is the kind of concept of like know when you're able to like do something when you're not and know when you're not able to do something, right? So you were looking to do something and then Varus passive kicked in because he was killing minions, and since this is a 1v1 he's just going to push faster than you. So if you recognize that he's going to push faster, right, or that he is pushing faster, then you should like kind of back off, right, when the time is right. Like you right here is like really good, right? You're like, oh, we have to wait, right? This is good patience, but
Right.
earlier before, right, stuff like
Okay.
that will make a big impact. So
So a few questions.
yeah, go
Pretty
shoot.
much. So pretty much prioritize health, right? Like always.
Right, in lane. Except there are like some notable exceptions, right? For example, if you're going for the level 2 push, right? And then you say, I can take 3 auto attacks for free, well, but I'm gonna get level 2 first. So the instant I hit level 2, even though they have a little bit more HP than me, I'm just gonna kill them all in, right? I'll say you have like Alistar Tristana, they're playing like Caitlyn and Leona or something, and then they ignore the level 2 push, so you guys get level 2 first and you go on them immediately, right? That could be an exception, but in general, HP is super important.
So do you force that level 2 with a champion like Ashe?
Pretty much any. If you can do it, you do it, right? You should almost always fight for it, unless, for example, you know that the enemy at least started topside and he's gonna come down for like a gank or some crazy shit is happening and you can't do it. You don't, right? But if you always look to do it, because say for example the Varus doesn't know that he should go for it, and then you get it. That's like taking stuff that you shouldn't be able to, right? So you should always look to get it. But if you can't, that's okay, right? Because depending on the lane matchup, you literally cannot if they play it perfectly, right? So you can always look to do it. Same thing here is like when you look at trading, I guess you could. So how do you win a 1v1 level 1? Let's just say Varus Ashe. Okay, so Varus Ashe are hitting each other. The person who lands more abilities wins, right?
Right.
So like say if you throw a volley backwards, he's gonna kill you because he lands his E, right? So this is the same kind of concept, right? If looking at win conditions in the lane. Before level 6, the win condition is I'm gonna land my volley and I'm gonna land my auto attack, and that's all you have. So it's not too much. And then Varus is he's gonna auto cancel with his E, right? So and because he has his like blight stacks and you have like your hawk shot, know that you shouldn't be able to win any kind of trade, right? Even if like Leona lands stuff, it's like really hard for you guys to do anything. Oh Jesus Christ, it's really hard for you guys to do anything.
Right.
That was super interesting though.
Does Var in this matchup? Does Varus taking? I don't remember if he took fervor or not. But
Oh yeah, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter unless you guys are like going deep all in, right? That doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Also, you took Q instead. Interesting, but basically, don't like whenever you want to hit them, there are like a few reasons to hit them. So okay, let's go about it a different way. If can you hit them anytime you want?
The enemy champion?
Yeah, can you hit the enemy champion anytime you want?
No.
Right. Only certain circumstances allow you to hit them without getting punished, right? So when can you hit them? What are some examples?
Whenever they're going for the CS for them, like
Right.
whenever my minion is to the point where they're gonna go for that last hit, I can trade the last hit for the CS, like that type of thing.
That's a very good one, right?
Yeah. Other than that, it's just kind of mindless, I guess, for me. Anyways, I feel like if I were to trade, it'd be like situational, like maybe I'm in range without taking any damage from the caster minions, etc., or somebody missed a skill shot, etc.
Right. Someone misses a skill shot, or that's like a really good one, right? If someone misses a skill shot, you're like, oh, I can go on them. Or you have more people, right? So they might win a 2v2, but it's a 3v2, so they try and fight, they're gonna lose. Or the example that we just saw, right? If there's nothing they can do to stop you, right? Because your win condition, quote unquote, is stronger than theirs, right? Then you can do that, right? So this is a good example, right, of what Varus did. So those are all like indicators of when you can like hit the enemy champion, right? So if none of those are what's it called? If none of those come up, then you shouldn't try and hit them, right? Kind of thing.
Right.
Right.
Oh, and another thing that I want to bring up too before I forget, another problem that I have is I feel like there's too much stuff going on at once. Like looking at the mini map, watching the CS, trying to dodge.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's just League, right? But like,
yeah.
that's one thing that I need to get over is kind of like being able to multitask in such a fashion that it doesn't cause me to lose CS or whatever have you.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to think about while you're playing, right? So I think the best we can do is try and prioritize the stuff we think about. Also, this is really clean. Wait, you're just gonna kill everyone here. This is a double kill. That was really good. This is really good. Oh, yeah, that's a really good follow up. That was really nice. So yeah, you got your lead. Okay, pause. Okay, so after stuff happens, you want to be in the mindset of always like knowing what you want to do next, right? So okay, we went through the first level. You go into lane, you say Leona's useless, Ornn is useless, it's gonna be me versus Varus. The plan is try and get level 2. You don't get level 2, they push you in, and you say, okay, plan changes. The plan is look to last hit, wait for an opportunity, yada yada, don't get poked out, right? That's your plan. And then now Leona lands her stuff. Your plan is you're gonna follow up and you just kill everyone. And then now, after all that's over, what's your plan? You always have to have like a current plan in mind, right? That's
Right.
that's how you stop playing mindlessly. So after this happens, what's your like plan now?
I think my plan is this is usually my plan every time I do get a kill bot lane or something like that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna push the wave, to the point where like I know I can't take a tower, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I just push. I try to either push the wave until the enemy loses the CS to the tower, or just to the point where it makes sense. Like this is the last wave I can take before the enemy comes back to lane, and starts pushing me back in to the point where they'll hit my turret or something like that.
Right, right. So you're saying that one of the options that you usually do is push before you back, right?
Right.
So are there any issues with that plan? Right? Are there
Uh.
is there anything that
Oh
can go wrong?
yeah. Yeah. It depends on the matchup, because sometimes I feel like it's more important for me to have my wave in my corner than to try to make them lose CS. If it's like a Caitlyn or something like that where she can kind of zone me,
Think
I
kind of
definitely
in more broader terms. This right now is like not the only okay, so I see two issues with the push and then back strategy, right? So the push and then back strategy is best used when you can shove it all under the tower so that they get denied minions, right?
right.
So if you're playing something like Vayne, can you do that?
No,
Sometimes, right? Sometimes it's not possible.
sometimes.
Or if you're like level one, some shit went down, and you're like level
Yeah.
one, something like that will happen. And then here's another thing to consider. What if their jungler like comes out? Can he stop you?
Right.
Right? What if there's a
Yes. Yeah.
TP that comes up behind you? Right? There's things to consider. So when I see something like this, my first thought is, oh, I can't push out because two things will happen. Okay, one, jungler is not here, so you try and push this out, but it's like physically impossible, right? I know this because how do you push this? You auto attack everything, and then maybe volley, and then by the time you do that, the next wave's already here, so they're gonna freeze on you, and you're gonna be really sad. And then worst case scenario, jungler's here, he kills everyone, right? Or he doesn't even have to kill anyone; he has to just stand here, and then you guys started pushing, so it's gonna freeze on their end. So he just stands there and watches you guys back, and then you guys are really sad, right? So the first thing is, it's good that you know what you want to do, but then you always have to ask yourself, is there anything wrong with this kind of idea? And the way you can figure it out is, say, if I do this, what's gonna happen, right? Oh, so that target actually helped a lot, but you still can't push this. I feel like,
Right.
um,
So my next question is this: if a situation like this just happened again to me, would I want to stay for the item? Like, let's just say I didn't have enough gold for a BF sword, and something happened, and I'm really close. Do you prioritize doing the last minute CSing or pushing, or just going back because of the fear of um, getting ganked or teleported on or whatever have you? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically the answer is always it depends, right? There's never like a black or white,
black and
like
white.
always this. But in this case, it looks somehow you guys like push this really quick, so I was really impressed by that. But say for example you're like worried that the jungler is gonna come out, right? So who's the jungler? I actually don't know who the jungler is.
Yeah, I don't remember who it is either.
Uh, let's just go. So we're at 540. Oh, Shyvana, right? So you
Oh
have
yeah,
no
I
fear.
forget.
You don't give a shit, right? He can come out. You guys walk away. So this is actually really good because I thought it was gonna be something like an Elise or something, but this okay.
Okay,
This
right,
a okay, right? They literally can't do anything. So if basically anything you do, you want like if there's risk involved, you want as low risk possible with highest reward, right? So if you say I literally need a minion for my BF sword, so and then what's the risk? It's very low because it takes very short amount of time to get the minion. So you say okay, I'm gonna push this and run, right? I'm gonna take this minion and run. Or versus like I need 6 minions or 7 minions, and it's like oh shit, is this worth it, right? So I think that was really good actually. You actually pushed it in, so I was
right.
surprised. I didn't think Leona targeted something to make that happen, but that was really good.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Okay. Do you? This is another issue that I have too when it comes to maybe it's Ash or just ADCs in general. Like I kind of went back thinking that I should buy a BF sword and then a Zeal, but I'm not really sure where my item priority should be. If I should rush the BF sword or if I should rush um, the Hurricane. If I were to go
Mm,
that build route, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I always kind of
right.
go back and I have all this money and I'm like, okay, Getting a BF sword is nice, so I grab the BF sword. If I don't have enough, I'll try to work towards Zeal, and then I'll come back to get the BF sword. But once I have those two items, I don't know if I should just rush the IE or if I should just rush the Hurricane. Like, what makes more sense on Ashe? I haven't been able to, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Test out which one makes the most sense, I guess. Hurricane first
So
or IE first.
the answer I'm gonna give is it depends, right? And
Okay.
the kind of examples I'll give you is so there are different kinds of builds you can do on Ashe, right? You can do like Blade the Ring King, Hurricane, whatever. You can do like Infinity Edge, right? Infinity into like Runons or whatever, or Static or whatever you want to pick. BF item, you can get Essence, but sometimes say you're in a very hard lane, right? And you're playing against Callista Thresh, and they have an Elise, um, and you have like 1300 gold, right? Is BF better, or is Boots better, or is Zeal better? It depends if you have like Flash or not. It depends on, do you value hitting harder, or do you value the mobility, right? Honestly, you really can't go too wrong, right? You say you get like BF and
Okay.
Zeal, that sounds pretty good to me, right? In
Right.
terms of like uh, uh, itemization, but honestly, it's I think uh, in most games it's going to be more about how you play rather than what you buy, unless you're buying something like really weird.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
even know,
Gotcha.
but I wouldn't worry about it too much. But you're saying like, oh, do I finish IE or do I finish Zeal? Most people will finish Infinity Edge, right? Because it's a super strong spike, and if you're playing Warlord's Ashe, the Zeal is less strong than it would be if you had like Fervor, right? Because a lot of Fervor builds go like all that attack speed stuff first. So
Okay. Got it.
right. So if I was playing like Warlord's Ashe, I would probably say, okay, probably get like get my Infinity components because it's really strong. Um,
Okay.
so that was a really interesting Ari roam. Good on you guys to like not get caught by
Wasting
that.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but can you tell me why you're playing super back here? What's like the mindset here, right? So you know how we always say have a plan. What's the plan here?
I think the plan here was just kind of come back to, and it's very like natural for me. So like I'm coming back to the lane to kind of keep what I was doing earlier, farming and whatnot. I think I'm playing passive because I don't know where the jungler is at all. Because top isn't there. I don't see top. Top died. Yeah,
Yeah,
top
yeah.
died.
Some shit went down. Some top died.
Something happened, and I was just like, okay, maybe I should play back. Oh, and another thing too is I said there was no benefit for me to be up in the front pushing so hard when I could just have the wave comfortably right now where I'm at with Ashe right now in this point in the video. I wanted the wave to be there so I had control to go in, or I was safe from ganks. I just wanted to have that safety in the lane. I didn't see a benefit in playing so far up.
Okay, so this is something I learned like last year, in that I always thought it was good to be super safe, never get ganked, right? That sounds familiar, right? Um,
Right.
but in reality, if you never okay, so in League, have you ever heard someone call Faker the unkillable demon king?
Hmm.
Right? So the reason why Faker was so good is not because his mechanics are insane, which they are, but because every time the jungler ganked him, they couldn't kill him. Right? Literally like unkillable. So every time a jungler ganks a lane and he doesn't get enough out of it, then they're like losing the jungle matchup. Right? So say
Right.
every time Shyvana, say Shyvana's sitting mid for 5 minutes. Okay, after 5 minutes, she's like level 2, and then Momo's like what, like level 4 or something, and then Momo goes and kills another lane. All of a sudden, Shyvana being mid not only lost jungle, it also lost a different lane, and it's just like it's gonna start to snowball because that support's gonna go top or something, or go mid, and it's
Okay.
gonna
Okay.
go
Right.
like go out of control basically. So
Right.
um
Okay.
in lane, in solo queue, the cookie cutter mindset, like this is basically what you do every game, is you want to make the jungler come down to your lane, right? So how often
Okay.
is it do you see someone like one of your solo lanes gets camped and you're like, oh shit, this game's over because Cassidy has 5 kills, right?
Right.
One way we can like prevent it, you think that there's like no control over the game, but there's actually some like semblance of control, right? So what if you're like winning lane so hard, you make their jungler come down, and then the jungler ganks, wastes his time, and then your jungler ganks mid, and then you win mid, right? So You win mid, you
Okay.
win
Okay.
jungle, and you
Yeah.
win
Yeah.
bot,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
the when you say how do I push my advantage, this is how you push your advantage. If you have flash and you have full HP, you can like almost always push up, right? You can always almost
Okay.
pressure them unless they have. There are always exceptions, right? I say almost always because what if they have like Callista Thresh Elise, right? This is the classic
It's
example,
just
I
bad.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right.
Depending on what they have, Varus Ornn, I don't think this shit does anything. Unless Varus is level 6, right? So,
Right.
you can always push up, right? And if you bait a gank and you lose your flash for it, that is very good. That is a good outcome, right? So,
Okay.
good outcomes in general are they gank you and you just lose summoners. That's good outcome because he's wasting his time. Unless your flash
Okay.
is like super valuable for whatever reason,
Okay.
he's wasting his time because your jungler is definitely going to get more than a flash somewhere else. And then wow, what the hell is that? And then
Yeah.
another good outcome is if they gank and you trade a kill, right? You get a kill and the enemy gets a kill, but since it was a 2v3 and you guys got something still, that's good outcome. Or obviously you get 2 kills or 3 kills. That's catastrophic. That's like game losing for them. And then if you say you get double killed but you get 1 kill, it's still good, right?
Okay.
Anything along those lines. If you can get something when they're ganking you, that's very good, right? If you don't die or you get something, that's very good. Those are all good
Right.
outcomes. Bad outcomes are
Okay.
like someone dies for free, right? Someone
Right.
dies in the gank and you don't get anything. That's really bad. Or double kill, you guys don't get anything. That's really bad, right? And
Okay.
then some kind of like exceptions maybe is if the enemy is scaling, like they gank you and you might get a kill, but the enemy scaling AD carry gets 2 kills. Maybe that could be considered not as good, right?
Right.
But anything along those lines, right? That kind of thinking is what you need to develop in order to push your advantage, right? So you can do this even without an advantage, right? If you have a huge wave for whatever reason and they're not like stopping you because they don't know about this kind of stuff, then it's like free, basically, right? So
Yeah.
if you ever wonder like, oh, why can these like challenger people have like 40 wins and 0 losses on a bronze to challenger account? This is why we're doing this kind of shit and no one else knows in the game. So it's very consistent, right? If you just do this every game, then and your opponent doesn't know, right? Then you're just gonna like win for free, kind of, if that makes any sense, right?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. You're right.
Where'd you Leona go? What the hell?
Leona is being. It looks like. I
Yeah,
don't
that's kind of
know. I
weird.
think.
Okay.
You think she should have stayed?
Well,
For the push?
yeah. I mean, for sure. Like, basically, unless she knows you're like 100% safe for whatever reason, she should like wait until this wave is done, and then you guys
But
push
I
into the
should
tower and then
notice
back.
that. I should
Oh,
notice though if she's gonna leave me like that, I need to just stop what I'm doing and walk off. Just because I'm
maybe.
by myself.
You guys saw like Shyvana top, and if you say I can get away from Ornn, or you say I have enough minions to 1v2, right? Then it can be okay, right? In my opinion, you could
Okay. I see what
1v2
you're saying. Okay.
with
Okay.
that many
Okay.
minions, right? So I was like, yeah, this looks
Okay.
fine to me. But only because we saw Shyvana top, right? What if there's Shyvana and Ornn or something stupid like that, right? Always depends. It
Right.
always depends.
Okay.
You just like factor this stuff in. You also have flash, so that's always a big factor in pushing up, right? Whenever
Yeah.
you're trying to do anything practical, like you can win this, maybe, or you can just get away from this. But if you have to use
Yeah.
flash, it's not worth, right? Because Leona should have stayed. So not really your fault,
Okay.
but you always have to say something like, "If X happens, I do Y," right? If this happens, I do this.
Right.
So if you
Right.
you
Always.
can't really control this Leona, right? She can fucking AFK or whatever.
Right.
So if like you decide to stay and you say, okay, what's the plan here? If I get hit by Varus ult, I have to flash. Okay, so no matter what, these 3 minions are not worth my flash, so I'm not gonna get hit by the Varus ult. So you just like don't get hit no matter what. Or you say, if I get hit by the ult, I'm okay. I just ult him back, right?
Yeah.
Anything along that, you just got to come up with something, right?
Okay. See, I don't even think that. Like, I don't even think on that level. But yeah, I see exactly what you mean.
Right. It's very logical, right? And none of this is
Right.
kind of like mechanics based. League is a very much a thinking game, like chess,
It
right?
is.
If you ever
It
watch
is.
Last Shadow, he's always like chess. But in a way, he is kind of right?
Right.
It's always about predicting what the enemy is gonna do and advancing your own plan. You got 2 control words. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was trying to practice the idea of more control vision.
Hmm.
So I was just said, all right, I'm gonna buy this because I just want to have more control.
Okay. Um,
Is that bad?
I wouldn't say it's like not necessarily bad. It's just most players wouldn't do it, right? But maybe I'm sure there are circumstances where buying two control words can be good, right? Say you really want this dragon, and you guys have a lot of CC, and they're gonna try and stop you, so you put one pink down, and then they somehow fight for it. They kill it, you kill them, you put another pink down. Something like that can happen, but usually it's like one at a time, right? I like it's not something to worry about. I would say, right? You have other things to worry about. So if your support ever roams, right, always play safe in a 1v2. I'm not really sure what one can do, or one can use is like ulti or something, right? That's like a thing. So yeah, you playing safe here is really this is when you play passive, right? When it's like impossible to do anything.
Right, right. I know I'm screwed if I do anything stupid. Even though he doesn't have ult, like I know I can get messed up pretty bad.
Right. Orin can do that like his Q or whatever, right? So wow, okay, so I like spicy. This also looks spicy. What is going on? I think you can just like, wow, he has base damage. Look at that base damages. I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna win this because they haven't killed Leona yet. You're just gonna auto attack and you could have ulted. Okay, I mean this is fine. That's fine,
I could have ulted. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so when you see that they have nothing left in the tank, right? In the metaphorical tank. Yeah, they have no abilities, right? So how do they kill you? You always ask yourself, how do you die to stuff, right? So if they use half the stuff on you and half the stuff on Leona, there's nothing left, right? So let's what's a good example? Say you're playing against a Syndra, right, as the AD carry. If she has her ultimate up and you have no Hex Drinker, you can't walk up, right? Because she's gonna ult you. What if she ults a tank? All of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm just gonna jump on her, right? You're playing Tristana, you're like, oh, she can't do anything, right? You just dodge her stun or something, and then you win, because she has no ultimate, right? That's stuff. Win conditions basically is the kind of concept here, right? If they have no win condition, they can't win, right? Hence the name. And what's your win condition?
Landing my abilities.
Right, landing your ultimate, right, is basically your win condition. So if you have something, they have nothing, you're gonna win, right?
Okay.
And you just saw him use flash, but honestly, it's fine if you don't find anything here, right?
Okay.
That's fine. We don't really have to worry about that. It's just some kind of like mechanic stuff. You can probably ult him here because your move is here though. This is gonna be free, right? So easy. We already know they're all gonna die, right? Because you land your win condition. There's nothing mechanical here. So this is all like knowledge based. This is really good. This guy might actually kill you. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So that was good. Good. That's why I was like, you don't really have to worry about that stuff like that because sure you might miss opportunities, but that is like a lot better than throwing the game, if that makes any sense, right?
Okay.
So back to here, the question is, what's the plan? And I think it's like you're gonna try and take tower, right? That's what you guys are pushing.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to put some pressure up on the tower,
Mhm.
land some blows on it.
If you couldn't take the tower, would you say you would still go for tower damage?
I always do. That's probably wrong.
And then why, right?
Why is it wrong, or why do I go up?
No. Like why? If you say yes, even if you know you can't get the tower, you'd still do this. Then you have to say why, right? Why?
Because over time, the DK, it's gonna fall.
Okay.
If I'm pushing the minions up to the wave, up to the turret, he's just losing the CS, and I don't feel like there's any damage done to the turret, especially in most games. If I'm really passive, the minions are pushed up to me sometimes, so I'm feeling like, okay, my turret is taking some damage. I want to kind of equate the situation, kind of want to put some damage on their turret now, and then I'll be.
So say, for example, you couldn't take this, right? And then what's the worst that could happen?
If you couldn't take it, you can get ganked from mid or a teleport or from top lane or the jungler.
Say it's just 2v2. Let's just say it's 2v2. Yeah.
2v2 and you're pushing for the turret?
Yeah, after like a fight happened, you guys have like no HP or mana, right? And they come back to lane. What happens? You can't get the tower, right?
Fresh item. Yeah.
And then you guys have the back, and then they take your tower or something like that, right? So you always have to consider what will happen. Right. So sometimes it can be okay to go for tower damage. I almost never go for tower damage unless I'm gonna take the tower, right? What's going on here? This is interesting.
Yeah, they just all came down. I guess because top one, maybe. Top got the turret down, so I guess he was just kind of roaming around. I didn't
So if
expect
they're
it.
all coming down here, okay. So this is kind of like a conceptual thing that you don't have to worry about too much yet. But when dives are happening, if you're the aggressor, what do you want to do in a dive?
If you're the aggressor, you want to take the aggro?
If you're the aggressor, basically you want to trade as much as possible, right? It's like a gank, right? If you have a gank coming, then
Okay.
you bait the enemy, right? How do you bait the enemy? You take a bad trade, right? You take a trade, right? So you get them as low as you can. It doesn't matter how much. It's like if you trade even, you're gonna win because the jungler comes in and smites you and you die, right? So
Right.
if you're getting dove, then what do you want to do?
Ooh. If you're getting dove, you want to push out the minions and don't
Yeah,
take
yeah, yeah.
trades?
Push it. Yeah, push out the minions and don't take trades. It's the opposite, right? It's the exact
Right.
opposite. So the reason I mentioned that is because you go for a trade here, right? But I don't know if you knew the dive was coming.
I don't think I noticed at all.
Right. That's always. That was a good dodge though,
Yeah.
on his ulti. Oh, this is gonna be a good trade, I think. If you kill this Pantheon. Oh, that was really good. Oh my, everyone's dying. You're gonna kill this Varus too. He has no flash. So yeah, good result. But even if it was a good result and we don't know why or like how to replicate it, then it's like not really a good thing, right? Actually, this is going poorly because you can't kill a
Yeah.
Varus. Holy
Right.
shit! Right. So there were consequences to the dive that happened, right? So
Right.
that's just like one thing. If you ever like come into a dive situation, keep that in mind. But dives are really kind of hard to pull off in solo queue, right? So
Okay. Gotcha.
just know that when you have more people, right, you want to trade as much as possible. And if you have less people, you want to go for value, right? You need to get insane. You need to get really good trades to win a 4v5 or something like that, right? You win a dive, you need to like save your stuff and go for maximum impact. Oh, this is nice. Not sure if you guys have the damage. Actually, you should, right? Oh, never mind. He's
She
just gonna walk
flashes.
away. That's fine. That's fine. Um,
Okay.
going for
That's
ready
worth it,
here.
right? Getting the flash.
Yeah, I would say that was a fine try, right?
Okay.
Because
'Cause
Leona
you
is
say on
looking
Ashe,
for it.
you always say only ult wins 100%.
Right,
But
right,
I
right.
was like, in
This is
my
fine.
mind, I'm like, man, this doesn't feel like 100%, but I feel like I should do it.
I think that was fine. Leona had some like weird pathing, couldn't catch up, but it looked like she was gonna get CC locked, so I thought it was gonna be a good try. Okay, so like, what's the idea here, right? You always need to ask yourself, what's the idea here? What are you gonna do now?
Okay. Well, bot is gone. Lost bot. I can't really solo push because Leona's not with me, so I was just gonna group with the team, try to take mid. And I think this game I was prioritizing the objectives was like Dragon and Rift Herald are key here, so I was trying to get my team to take those.
So, my kind of take on this is that if you guys try and do a Rift Herald, you're gonna lose, right? Why?
Uh, Everybody's up.
Right. That too, but also something like you guys have no abilities. You personally don't have arrow, right?
Oh yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah,
forcing
okay.
stuff is like really hard because while you're tanking the Rift Herald, they're gonna try and stop you, stuff like that. So you always
That's
want to go
insane.
for some
Okay.
kind of like clean play. Some kind of everything you do is like consistent, right? So if I were you, you say that you can't solo push bot. So give me the reasons why, right?
Uh, I'm in
Here.
fear just of getting ganked.
Right. Someone's gonna come out and they're gonna whoop your ass, right? Because you're
Right.
trying to farm the minions. So what do you do?
In a
Right. If
situation
I
where
say
push,
your life depends on farming that wave bot, how are you gonna do it?
that's it. And just don't push, don't shove.
You can wait. You can wait out of vision until you can see the enemy team,
Oh,
right? So
okay.
so it's like who can
I
kill
have
you,
this-
right?
Yeah,
The question
yeah,
is who
okay,
can
okay.
kill you.
Yeah, yeah. Right,
So if you see everyone but Varus and you say, oh, if I go by, it's just me versus Varus, I should be okay, right? Something like that.
Okay.
In this case, it would be
Still
Ari,
weird
right?
not farming all the time. Does that make sense? Like, it's like I haven't produced that habit where it's like you do what you just said. I kind of have this bad habit where I'm just like, okay, I need to be farming. I need to be farming nonstop.
Right.
Because enemy ADC is farming, like that type of thing. Maybe
Right.
that's completely wrong.
But you do need to like whenever there's nothing going on, you do need to be trying to get as much XP and gold as possible, right? So this is like one of those cases. So if you're like in fear of like enemy jungler or something, then you say, Leona, I need you, or you use your hawk shots or you use your wards. but you try and do something, right? If the game has gone completely like south, then you kind of just like don't worry about it because that's like shit happens. But usually speaking, you always try and pick up every wave of farm. So you're like losing like four wave spot, I think, something like that.
Okay.
And it's not it's like it's kind of awkward because Victor can't really go, but you're also kind of like unsafe. I don't know, but it should be you, right?
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Another thing to keep in mind with this particular game, this game was one of those games where I'm really far ahead, but the enemy team just played map pressure, and it's like like what can you do? Because it was
Okay,
like
okay.
they
We can
were
take a look at that too.
constantly. Yeah. So that's just one
And
thing
we can
to keep
keep
in
that in
mind.
mind. So some shit like this is going on. I don't know what this is, but this is like, how do we know this is bad? No one has abilities, right? So it's fucking terrible. Jax is trying to team fight. You don't worry about shit like that. It's like out of your control,
Just
kind of.
walk away.
You use back ping if you notice something like that going on. But you already know you win this. How do we know? How do we know that you can't die? Which ability does she miss that tells us you can't lose?
Charm.
Yeah. So, anytime you see something like that, that's how you know. Remember when I was like, "Oh, you could have arrowed them bot." It's because I saw them use Verisalt and like Orin whatever shit. So,
Right. Okay.
always keep that in mind. In the mid game, in the early game you think about stuff like that with the jungler and the support and the AD carry. In the mid game, you think about that with like all this other stuff, right? So, Shyvana, don't really worry too much, but Pantheon all right. Pantheon stun, Verisalt. Warnote, Ari Charm, right? Those are other things we're looking at. Holy shit, you can arrow this. That's like really hard to kind of react to, but that was a spicy Rift Arrow right there.
Oh, you're saying alt her for trying to pop Rift Arrow?
Yeah. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. I didn't even
but
think about that though. I didn't even think about that. Okay.
that is a thing you can do. I wouldn't worry about that though. That's kind of awkward.
That was yeah. I thought she was gonna keep going. Try
Right,
to
right,
save
right.
his life or something.
Always save. When in doubt, always save it. Always when in doubt. When in doubt. Because even if you hit her, you can't really get anything, right? She just walks away. You can like auto attack her, but she's gonna walk away into out of vision. So when in doubt, always save it. But still wouldn't worry about something like that really. Because I saw you land like a bunch of good arrows already. So
Okay.
so some shit. This is like ARAM. I don't know. Someone's got to go top to farm.
Yeah.
Jax is going. That's good. So in this kind of case, now you definitely can't go bot, right? Because they're gonna be all missing, and even if you see 4 people and it's just you versus Varus, it's too far up to push, right? But earlier in the that's why it's so, like, always depends. League is always in a it depends game. But earlier you could have gone, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But we don't. I don't think we worry about this too much. I don't know what's going on here. You guys don't want to fight. You have Jax pushing top, right? It's kind of awkward. People are sharing farm mid, but
Dude, that happens in so many of my games. Like it's just it gets to the point where you're just kind of like, I don't know what else to do because no, we can't safely push any other lane.
So the cookie cutter strategy is you push out your sideline. Say you're on the defense, right? You guys lost tower like you are now, right? You guys are losing the game, so you can't pressure their towers. What you do is clear, like when you go to a lane and you know it's safe, you know it's gonna be a 1v1 or it's a 1v2 and you can get away by ulting, something like that. You push the wave past the middle part, right? Past the midpoint, and then you run or something like that, right? You push as much as you can. You make someone respond, and then you leave, or you roam, or you camp a bush, or you ward, something like that. If you're on the aggressor side, right, you push up to the tower and you see what you can get off that, right? Can you invade? Can you hit the tower? Can you get HP advantage? But that's generally how it goes, right? For us AD carries.
Right. Okay.
So here, going bot here, I would probably go top, and Jax goes bot, right? But this could be fine too. Like who can stop you, right? Who can stop you? We see Varus, we see Pantheon, we see Ari, and we see Ornn. Okay, Shyvana. How does Shyvana stop you? She can't, right? She ults you. What do? You ult her. Okay, that's a good trade because ult for ult, and then you get your farm. Or you can even like say she ults you, you Blade the Ruin King her. Okay, now she can't do anything, right? So as long as you come up with something, right? You say, okay, XYZ is gonna come for me. What do I do? You're good to go.
Yeah. See, here's it. I noticed at the very last minute that it was
Ari's coming, right? So okay, she comes out. What do you need to? You win this, right? How do I know you win this? Or you should be able to win this.
If I'm a god and I dodge everything, but
so what's her win condition?
Charm for sure.
Right. What's your win condition?
Alt in the arrow. Alt arrow.
So how do you dodge her win condition? Guaranteed.
Flash or move or ult.
Right. Flash. That's the only guaranteed way. Unless you're like you heal Blade the Rain King or something. And then how does she dodge your ulti?
R, or she flash, or charm. Well,
Yeah, she can't really dodge it with her ultimate,
yeah.
right? So so flash, right? But she doesn't know when you're gonna ult, and you don't know when she's gonna charm, right? So basically, all you have to do is focus on dodging her charm, using your flash for her charm, and then say something like, "Oh, the instant she ults, I'll ult her," or "I'm gonna save my ult until the last," or after I flash, I'm gonna ult.
She's 2 levels up.
Right. But the thing is, if you miss your win condition, right? Unless she has unless she can kill you with 3 R's and W's, you can't die, right? You're not gonna die. Right? As long as you can dodge her charm, right? It should be fine, right? Oh, you didn't heal, but you didn't heal the ignite. That's kind of awkward, but
Okay. Oops. All right.
yeah, it's like it should be a win, right? It went really poorly somehow.
Maybe because I didn't have Q ready.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah, I feel like
She had a lot of damage.
I feel like I did what I needed to do in that situation. Like I tried. I don't know.
You
I
did get
dodged
the
the
key
Q.
components. I guess it was a matter of levels and items. That's very interesting. Um,
If it was IE, maybe I would have won. Maybe.
No. That's impossible, right? Because you can't get your Q if it's if you have your Infinity Edge. If you had your so one thing you can always do is like if you say you need your Q, how do you get your Q?
Stack autos.
Right. And you off the minions, right? So if you stay near the minions, that could be a way. I don't know. I think this is like kind of like a mechanics issue. You did like the proper, what's it called? That was like the proper way to do it, right? It should have been a win, but
Okay.
it's just kind of hard.
Would you have held your ultimate?
So basically, what the idea here is, okay, you dodge a charm. The instant she comes out, you volley before she gets in range. She ults, you auto attack, you flash your charm, and then once you have your Q up, you Q and then ult, or you ult and then you Q, right? So then you can get maximum damage off.
Okay,
But it's like
okay.
it's not. This is something we don't really need to focus on too much. You got the key components down, which is like dodge their win condition, land your win condition. This is just like kind of unfortunate that she was just that much stronger. Yeah, don't worry. You don't really worry about stuff like that. As long as you had the plan in mind, right? I think that's the kind of goal, right? That's just a matter of mechanics, and that's not something you need to. That's not something most people. That's not something people need to worry about, right? But yeah, it's like the real things is like, okay, what should I be doing now, right? So here you see you need to go help, so you go help. But after this shit is like, I don't know what's going on over there. But what's the plan now?
Go back, push bot, get pressure.
Right. Just basically push. Just basically catch every wave of farm as you can. Right? So push bot before you do anything. So, bot before you get red, right? Unless you really needed that red right now for whatever reason, right? You push this.
Usually leave red alone.
Yeah. Basically, you get red when you have like downtime, right? But if you, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So right here, I think it's just some bullshit that's going on. I think they're gonna do dragon. I don't think Jax has teleport.
Right, you can't stop this because your Amumu super far away. So you should play cautious here, right?
Actually,
maybe. Okay, that was a hot steal. And that Ari's dead. Maybe not. That's fine. Who cares? You guys got the objective. That was really good. Oh, okay, everyone's got to run.
I got saved.
You just leave here. Oh, maybe you can fight this. Oh no, maybe not. I don't know. I can't really tell, but that was good. You stole the dragon somehow. Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
That was good.
Yeah, I forgot I did that.
Okay, tell me. Can you get this next wave? Yes, and why?
Okay, technically I could get that wave. I think, yeah, because they got 3 in the mid. I think that was about 3.
Right. They had like people
Pantheon
mid.
Is.
And you say the Pantheon. Pantheon was like, what was Pantheon?
Pantheon
was
already ulted.
Right. No Pantheon ult, no Ariel. Right. So, if what's the worst they can do? They run through Tribush. Okay. So you walk down to your tower, you volley them, and you walk away. Right. So, you can always if you can get another wave, you should always get another wave. Basically.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because money is always important.
What about that's another issue I have is prioritizing that farm or the
See
tower. Like
this?
I say, okay, maybe I should group
This
now.
is a chance for them to throw. They got like a third of the tower, and they could have lost Baron if they got caught here, right? So that's like that's like they're doing some stupid shit. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Right? It's your job to pick up as much farm as possible, and you go help when you're needed, right? When your team is like, we're gonna force this fight, that's when you go help. Otherwise, your job is to get every wave as farm possible, right? So, unless you can force this fight somehow, with an Amumu or whatever, I don't know. Unless your team is pinging you, come mid. This is the decision I would be making. You just clear bot, right?
Okay. And now you can kind of start to see the shape of the map where like they're constantly pressuring.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
trying to like split. Okay, that was like a clean, right? Like, what can Shyvana do?
Yeah,
Like we
yeah. So
discussed
so
earlier.
I kind of feel the game kind of slipping away slowly because I'm like, okay, if I group with you guys mid lane, I know that Shyvana's gonna want to take this turret. I don't want to lose this turret, so I'm going bot because nobody else is responding to it, and I'm like, okay, it's just not gonna be my responsibility to save this turret.
Yeah,
So I
yeah, that
go
was the
bot,
right
and
decision. That
if
was the right decision
okay, okay,
for sure.
and that's what I did. So, but they're punishing us for that because whenever they see me out not there, I guess they're just gonna keep
No, no,
pushing me.
no, no, they're not punishing you for that. They're punishing. Look, like so, when you went to save bot, Amumu like killed himself in the jungle. You see this, right? So that's not you at all, right? And
Right.
your team had like poor back timings or whatever. And Jax was not in the like right lane, right? So it's not. Don't worry, that's like not your fault, right? Because
Okay. Okay.
Jax
Okay.
should be matching Pantheon, right? And Victor should be wave clearing mid. And then Amumu killed himself in the jungle, so it's not. It's like not your fault.
Okay.
It's like this is like the right decision because not only did you get money, you also killed someone, right? And the fact that your team like kill themselves doesn't make this kind of decision wrong, right? The result is not always what's it called? Uh, uh, uh the result does not always like tell you if it's like a good or a bad decision, right?
Right.
Because like what if someone DCs for like half a second and it's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have started Baron. Well, yeah, you should have started Baron. Just because someone DC doesn't mean it was the wrong call or something like that, right? Um,
Right.
someone fat fingers, someone like messes up smite and it gets stolen by Ashe Volley, for example, doesn't mean the dragon was a bad call. So
Okay.
you made the right choice for sure.
That's an
Wow, that
awkward
was super
situation.
scary, but I guess you get away from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice flare, nice flare.
Yeah. Yeah. VMing.
But basically, your job, like, what's the goal here, right? What's your mindset here?
My mindset is try to alleviate some pressure. Try
But
to
like
get
how, like specifics, like what are you trying to
uh
do
push the
specifically?
waves out with
Like if you're playing support, what are you trying to do specifically?
vision.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're gonna be like, I'm gonna put a word here, I'm gonna put a word here, and I'm gonna sit on this pink word, right? So you know exactly what
Right.
you want to do. Same thing with AD carry.
Yes.
You know exactly what you want to do. Like which wave do you want to push, and then where do you want to go after, right? So like here, it's like, okay, I want to push mid, I want to push another wave, and then I have flash up. So if they force on me, we're gonna turn, and then I put my words down, whatever, right? That's the mindset. It's the same kind of idea, just different
Okay.
role, right? So um,
I
here
have a
I feel
bad
like
time.
someone should be mid. Like we saw Varus had no ultimate, right? So who can stop you? Pantheon ult, right? So Pantheon comes down and you have flash. You don't have flash yet, but Pantheon comes down, you have flash and heal. Leona's next to you. I think you're just gonna kill him, right? And you have
What if
arrow.
Leona's not next to me and she kind of like
Then you gotta
she's
wait.
not
You gotta wait,
okay?
right? Like
So
it's
don't
like
go for
the
the wave.
the classic example of what if my support roams? What do I do in lane? You wait. You can't 1v2. Right?
That's okay. That's my problem. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Same kind of idea. This this is a good fight, right? You guys want to fight this, right? How do we know?
Ari's mid.
Look at no, they wasted like a bunch of shit for like no reason. I don't know what that is, but
Oh
you
yeah.
guys
Yeah.
can
Okay.
when you see like someone waste their
Miss.
abilities, that can be an indicator. As long as things are relatively even, right? Um, say for example, you see like what's an obvious one? You see Amumu with his ult, and you're like, okay, we can fight. Or Sejuani misses her ult, or something like that.
Right. Right.
That's like an indicator, right? So,
Okay.
but it looks like nothing happened, right? No fight broke out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nothing. This is just straight
you
bullshit.
guys need to check the Baron. That's fine. Oh, they could like do it. Oh, two people show bot, so you guys can like walk into Baron and like clear it or something. But it's not your job to go bot, right? Why do I say that?
Because I could be elsewhere.
Because if they're all at Baron and you're a bot, then it's like
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
If they don't do Baron, at the very least they're gonna take Vision, and if they take Vision, your team's gonna try and fight for it. So someone's gonna get caught mid though,
Oh,
so it's kind of awkward. Oh, you guys do get a like kill pressure, so um, this is the only reason why this is good is because Ari is here because Ari has no teleport, right? That's why teleport goes bot when Baron is up, right? Because they can teleport to Baron. If you ever watch
right.
like LCS or something like that, that's like the exact reason. This is really good. You're just gonna kill this guy. Everyone should just go to Baron after this, right? Get this red maybe. Idea is push out mid, go to Baron, get Vision. If they face check, you kill them. If they don't, you start it, right? So this is good. And then it's like, okay, what do I do if XYZ happens, right? So what do you do if Ari goes for you?
I did that right here because
So
I said if Shyvana comes up, I want to pencil her out because I
okay,
don't
that's good.
want
That's
Smite.
good.
So that's what I did there. But instead of just penciling
It's
her,
kind of
I
far
actually
though. Yeah. You need to do that. No one can do damage to Baron. That's not you. So you guys actually get it. So it's like you want to stop her from smiting it, right?
right. So I
Right.
shouldn't have went for the kill. Personally.
Right. This is like good enough, right? If she comes back into flash range, then you come back and hit her, right? But you need to stay around to
Okay.
push everyone else off too, right? Because
I
your
got
team,
tunnel vision.
the AD carry is the one who does damage to Baron, unless you have like a Yasuo or Cassiopeia or something weird like that, right? Who's gonna do damage to Baron? Jax? It's kind of hard. So yeah,
Right.
don't chase that far. Chasing is like usually frowned upon in League, right? So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So prioritize myself as a role.
right. It's
do what
like it always
matters to the
depends.
role.
It always depends. You know, sometimes this can be good, but in this case, you just make okay. You say she can't smite because she's that far away, then you come back and hold, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I guess you guys do get the Baron.
Mhm.
And a bunch of people died. You still have it though, which is good. So now that you have QSS, you're not scared of Varus anymore. Who else are you not scared of?
Pantheon and Ari.
Pantheon. Well, I mean, honestly, Ari at this point, Ari's win condition is almost no longer a charm. Her charm is like another free win condition. Ari's win condition turns into just pressing R and W and Q, right? It's gonna be it's starting to be damage, right?
So like
Q
like
and
a
R.
hex drinker.
Yeah. Unless she's like 10 kills or something, I wouldn't get a hex drinker, right?
Okay.
Because if she ults into your arrow, that's your win condition, right? So she also has to be afraid of you. Something you want like a hex drinker against is something like that's literally like unavoidable, like Karthus, right? That's pretty AIDS. Or like Echo maybe. I don't know. It's like Vladimir. That shit's stupid, right?
Right.
But something against like Anivia, you don't really want a hex drinker because you're not gonna get like bursted like that, right? Syndra is
Right.
classic hex drinker. This is really good. This is good follow up, right? And you didn't use the arrow because you didn't have to. This is really good. You can just kill this guy. Nice.
Right.
And if I were you, save arrow for Ari.
I tried.
It's kind of
Yeah,
awkward.
it just got in the way. Yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah.
that, but I guess I didn't play it.
When in doubt, because this is like because this is like if you're playing support and you miss combo, this is the equivalent, right?
Okay.
Missing arrow because that's why you pick Ashe, right?
You got it for the arrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure that's like as consistent as possible, right?
Okay.
But
So
Yeah,
here
whenever
I'm
you-
like I'm racking up kills.
what's going on? Okay, so this is kind of so basically what we talk about in this replay is we see specific instances and then we turn those into general concepts, right? So we see bad trades going on and we say, oh, the general concept is don't trade when you're getting dove because if you trade while getting dove, the enemy jungle comes out and smites you or something like that, right? You get one shot. So the general concept here is after you win something, get the best thing you can possibly get out of it, right? So say a fight breaks out and you're watching a bronze 5 game, right? And then the enemy team gets aced and then the other team backs instead of getting Baron. You'll be like, why didn't you get Baron, right? So this is the same concept except less obvious. What can you get right now? Once you've killed 2 people, once you kill 2 carries, what can you get right now? What's like the best thing you can get?
My lane farm.
I'll say like towers, objectives. You always look to objectives first.
Yeah.
And if you can't get objectives, you get like important camps or you set up traps or something like that. But what is like the best objectives you can get?
Towers, dragons.
Like in this map right here, like this example right here.
Mid lane.
Exactly. You push 2 towers mid, and then maybe they'll do something stupid, you can get more, right? So you can't back here. Basically, it's not your job to defend. Your job is to take down towers and stuff,
Really?
right? You're like,
Okay.
okay, so you want to fight Pantheon, but say he has lethality or whatever. He has so much damage that even if you like kill him, right? Even if you kill him with your QSS and your flash, what can you get after that? It's gonna be a lot harder because not only are you far away from objectives because he was splitting, but the other team got time to respawn, right?
It
So
just sucks to watch it happen because it's just like, man, this guy's just taking our turret for free, and
yeah, it's not your job. It's always TP's job. It's always like for example, it's the same thing if Jax goes to defend. But what happens is that if he kills the Pantheon, he can like help teleport to the fight, or he doesn't even have to kill him. He can just defend. And if Pantheon comes up to like collapse on you guys, so can Jax, right? But if you go,
so
what happens? If you go and Pantheon comes mid, you can't get there in time, right? So
right.
that's man disadvantage.
So in this situation right here, it looks like my team is doing well, taking mid because what they got Victor and stuff, but I'm wasting Pantheon's time. He's not able to go gank them or anything.
So
He's just
so the idea is that if you're mid, right, that's like more pressure. Okay, so what you're saying is that you're trying to accomplish many things at the same time, right? And you're saying,
yes.
We not only do we get mid, but we also kind of stop Pantheon. So the counter argument is like if you were mid, you could force down more, right? You can get even more, right? Or it's like if they make a mistake, if they make a single, if Orin steps out of place and you're there, he dies and you get inhibitor, right? So there's more pressure basically. It's like the kind of where can we put our pressure to get the most out of it? And you're saying like
Okay.
we want to spread it out, but in general, it's like you want to be with your team, right? Unless this guy is like all the money on the enemy team and you kill him. If you kill him, you can get inhibitor. Then it's like not worth for you to like stop him yourself, if that makes any sense. At least in this example, right? This is like this Jack, like the top laner should fight the top laner, right?
Yeah.
If he's winning, right? So I don't know. I think you should have been mid, in my opinion. But,
Okay, I see it. I definitely see it.
right,
It just at
it's
the time I think I was just getting stuck. Like, man, I'm fed, and we're still losing objectives, and it just felt like going 2 steps forward, 3 steps back all the time.
right. Let's take for an example. Like we were worried about Pantheon, like taking this tower and stuff. So if you guys push mid, where is it? Where did all this shit happen? Hold up. Okay, here. Say Pantheon pushes bot, right? And Jax doesn't go defend because he's stupid, whatever. You guys push mid. What happens is that they respawn, and then you guys are like, oh, we can't keep going, and then you guys back and you stop Jax anyways, right? I mean, you stop Pantheon anyways, right? So you'll get like inhib tower, and he'll get like your second tower or something like that. So
I see what you're saying.
yeah. It's like unless they're ending the game, right? Unless they're like, holy shit, we gotta stop, we gotta go now. They're like backdooring. Usually you don't someone else. It's not your job to go do that, right?
Okay, got it. So all this right here is just kind of like Monopoly right now. Like this is
What is going on?
really going on.
Okay. So this is good. We can go over this. So what is the idea here, right? It seems like you're doing the same thing, right? You want to stop them from split pushing, right?
Yeah, mid laner's down here now, so
Right. So unless you can like one shot someone with arrow, this could be a good attempt, but usually you go mid, right? Because Ari's also thinking the same thing, right? If I push this, who can stop me? What's gonna happen, right? So unless she sees you, she's gonna wait, right? And then you're like baiting, but yeah, basically you want to be mid. If you don't know where to go, you always go mid, right? Because Jax wants to be in a side lane. Jax wants to split. If you don't know where to go, mid is the place to go.
okay.
Right, this is gonna be good. I think. Oh, did he show? This was a nice try, but it looks like they didn't fall for it. This is also a nice try if that Varus gets hit. But this looks very winnable in my eyes, right? So how do you win?
Yes.
How do you win? Right. What can you do to win, basically?
Land arrow.
Right. You land an arrow on anyone who's like squishy, and you're gonna win. So you land an arrow on this kid, he's dead.
This
Okay, that's awkward.
this is the game losing fight, I think, in my opinion. Because Shyvana was going extremely hard on me, and I don't know. I felt like my team didn't help me out with. Like no one really was trying to defend me because they were. I mean, I'm the most fed. Why would they not want to take me out first? My team didn't. It didn't feel like they wanted to help me out and respond to that. Like
Well,
Yana was
here's the
literally right next
question:
to me.
do they need to help you out, right?
I feel like yeah. Like man, holy crap! Like she does so much damage. Getting
I mean, if you
destroyed.
have an answer for what they can do, then theoretically speaking, you don't need anyone's help, right? Uh, unless they have like a yeah, like the reason why you buy like Hex Drinker against Syndra, even if you have a Lulu, is because even if Syndra ults you and Lulu misses the ult, you're gonna be okay, right? So you bought the QSS because if they do this, you have an answer for it, right? So in this
Right.
case, if you go for this kind of like side hit, this is fine. And then say they come over, what's your answer to Shyvana in melee range? So you
Uh,
kill this Ari, that's great. What's your answer?
get the hell away from her.
You just flash away and she can't hit you, right? So if you
Yeah,
have an answer, you're
oh,
like good to go.
okay. So I got a quick question. Another
Hmm.
thing that I have a really bad problem with is it's only whenever I play ADC or something crazy like that's really fast, my hands get shaky. Like I get shaky. Like
Oh yeah. Like
you get
nerves and
quick.
stuff, right?
Like
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah. So I
Um,
wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't like, okay, if she comes over this wall, I think because see, whenever you look at me flash, I flash behind her for some reason. I
mhm.
could have just very well flashed over the wall, but at the time I didn't think that. Maybe that just comes with time, getting better at the game. But
So for
I don't
to
know.
work on that, you can work that like immediately for team fighting, right? For any kind of fighting. Um, remember how we talked about like what is their win condition and how do you stop it, right? So what is Pantheon's win condition? How can you stop it? It's gonna stun
If
you
he,
and
yeah,
you QSS, right? And then you
right,
just like auto attack him, and then you win, right? That's
right.
solved, right? If Ari goes on you, what can you do anything?
Uh, arrow or dodge or charm.
Yeah. Say like you can't do any of that. Say it's like say for example it's like impossible for whatever reason, right? And you can't do anything.
Okay.
Then what's the answer?
Do I have sums? Just flash.
No. Say it's like literally impossible, right? If you get into XYZ range, you're dead, no matter what you do. What do you do?
Yeah, just die, I guess.
Yeah, no, yeah, you don't go into range, right? You do
Don't
any,
go. Yeah,
you
yeah. If
don't,
you
you
can
don't
help.
do, you don't, can't, you can't, you literally cannot because you have no answer, right? If you don't have an answer, you can't walk up, right? So say for example, you're playing Varus, you have no QSS, you're pushing mid, you have no answer for Ashe arrow that's like coming from Fog of War, then you're screwed, right? Or like Syndra Flash Ultimate, right? Sure, that's stupid, but if you have no answer for it, then don't walk into Flash Ultimate range, right? So, so first you ask yourself, do I have an answer to all this stuff? And then you figure out the ones you do have an answer
Yeah.
to, and you prepare for it. So you're like your fingers on two. You walk up to Pantheon. He stuns you. You press two. You win. Right. And then you say you have no answer for Ari. Don't walk into ultra range. Right. You have no answer for XYZ. Don't walk up.
I
Right.
see what you're saying.
If
Okay.
you do have an answer, you're good to go. Right. So say
Right.
you're playing Caitlyn and you're playing against Blitzcrank and you have a QSS and he hooks you. Do you have an answer?
Wait, say it again.
Say you're playing against like Blitzcrank or Thresh, right? And you're playing like an 80 carry. You're playing like Ezreal, Lucian, Caitlyn, whatever. Do you have an answer to that? Or that's a better example. Gragas Ultimate, right? So this kind of example, this kind of like questioning is like, oh, there's some stupid abilities in the game like Gragas Ultimate who can throw it at any time at it will, right? So what's your
Right.
answer to that? If you have a QSS, you have an answer, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
after the barrel hits you, you QSS, you walk away, right? You QSS,
Right.
you flash, you QSS ability, right? So if you can come
Yeah.
up with something, and then as long as you can
Right.
come up with something. This how long do you have to come up with something? You have the whole game to figure out something, right? In your like
Right.
downtime, you're like after you push mid, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go ward, or you're like doing dragon because everyone's dead, and that's your time to think about the team fights that are coming up, right? Is
Okay.
what do I do if they do this? That's always the question. What do I do if they do this? Because if you can't figure out anything, it's like you're just like playing mindlessly, right? Like you said, playing without thinking. You always need to come up with something. So it doesn't matter that this went wrong or this went well or whatever. The important question is, what were you thinking about that kind of stuff before the fight happened? And then the question is, can you execute it? Right.
Okay.
So have you seen the Faker Zed versus Rio Zed whatever stuff? Have you seen that? Like that's like I cannot think of something like that, so I don't go for that line of play, right?
Right.
But if Faker can do it, and he can go for it, then he'll do it, right?
Right.
So some things are mechanically possible for other people. So play to your ability, if that makes any sense. So if can you like the question is, can you QSS Pantheon stun?
Yes.
Then that's fine. That's a perfectly fine line of play. You walk up, you let him flash stun you, and then you're like, oh, you laugh in his face because you QSS, right? Because you prepare for it, right? So planning is the first step, and then executing is the second step, right? So if you want to play this team fight out, it's do I have an answer for Pantheon? Yes. Okay, that means I can hit him for free. If you don't have an answer, you wait, right? You can just like stand at the edge of the fight and you volley in or something, or you look for your arrow, but you wait until you have an answer. So in this case, why is it like not a good idea to go over here?
Because of exactly what happened.
Well, what if they didn't go? What if they just walked away?
I'm still not in good range to follow or anything.
Right, you'd have to use flash or something like that. So it's not really try and prevent kind of like lines of play where they can just walk away from it, right? So say you're chasing Singe, right? And then he just walks away. It's like, oh shit, what do I do? Right? That's like the obvious example. Or like Nidalee, right? Everyone's like, don't chase Nidalee because she just like jumps away, right? Stuff like that. Same thing with like Talon. I don't know. It doesn't matter what it is. If there's a line of play where they can just walk away and it doesn't work, trying to avoid that kind of stuff, right? And then if you say, oh, I'm gonna walk up and I have a plan for when they turn, then you're good to go, right? So always come up with something before fights happen, right? And then if you can't figure something out, then you wait for your opportunity until you can figure something out, right? The goal is to not do something unless you can see it in your head, and then you let it play like a video, right? Plays out like a YouTube video, and you like nothing surprises you. Nothing should surprise you, right? Because if you get surprised, then it's just all it takes is one thing, and it's like game over, right? Like this could have been an ace, for example, right? So that's
at this point is the game. Do you see the game being winnable? Like, because I mean, of course, it's winnable, right? But with the way that the map is playing out, like
yeah, easily, right? Like how does your Jax is outscaling Pantheon, right? So how can look at this shit. You just fucking got whooped. Like you can't even do anything. Look at this Jax is going to town, right? And then Victor is scaling, right? Like what are they gonna do? Are they gonna walk up to Victor? No, they need already like assassinate someone, right? You have the better team comp. This is easily winnable, right? You guys have the late game in the bag, right? And you have Ornn is fucking useless. What does this shit do, right? I don't know. It's awful, right? So if you can, but even if it wasn't looking good, the goal isn't to like win the game, as stupid as it sounds. The goal is to improve, because if you even if you like win the game, if you didn't improve from it, it's just like you're never gonna get better, right? So the goal is always to like figure out what you need to work on for like XYZ amount of days or games, and then improve that one thing and then move on to the next, right? And then keep that thing that you improved on, right? So if we say, oh, you should work on your team fighting for the next week, and then you say, never fight unless you have a plan, right? And then execute that plan. All of a sudden, you do that every game, and you say, okay, that's good now. Okay, now we work on laning, and then you work on your laning, and all of a sudden, you're like climbing ranks because you're doing it better than everyone else, right? So for example, this could be like, okay, for your next 30 games, don't miss an arrow, right? You just focus on that for like the whole time. You're just like saving your arrow. All of a sudden, you can use your ultimates and your win conditions better than anyone else in your rank. And then you say, okay, now what do I need to work on, right?
Okay, I got it.
So that's the kind of idea we need to be doing, right? Building good habits, and you can't forget them, right? That's also important, because even if you can do it, if you don't keep doing it, you'll like lose it, right? That happened to me recently, and it's just like, oh shit, gotta go back and relearn what I learned before. So it's always the same thing, right? So maybe you could be like, don't go bot when Baron is up. It could be as simple as that. And then it'll prevent them from like getting free Barons, for example. So yeah, don't go bot when Baron is up. As the AD carry, you need to be mid. You need to be mid at least. So they can't just do Baron for free.
Right.
So why is this dangerous up here?
Where are we at? Right. Right here.
Yeah.
Why is this dangerous?
Yeah.
No vision on anybody, and I'm playing up.
So if you're not prepared for Varus ult, RE flash charm, can't be up here, right? But if you're baiting this intentionally, then this can be a good line of play, right? So always ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And then you have to come up with something against that, right? So it's kind of like it's like chess, right? You're looking for ways to attack. You're looking to okay, when can I use my arrow to guarantee a kill on the back line, right? That's what you're looking for, or maybe front line, whatever. That's your like line of attack, and then you're like, okay, how do I prevent them from doing the same shit to me, right? That's your defense, right? So, it's just different from chess in that this happens so fast, right? So, what's your line of defense against this?
Ult.
Right, you can ult.
Back up.
Right, I would save my ult personally. I'd be like, okay, if he smites me, I QSS the slow, and then if he does this shit, I'm just gonna auto attack and walk away, right? So you can walk away from this, I think. Okay, you're like super slow, so you got to ult. Wow.
I didn't know. I think I just got. I was like, I'm dead.
Yeah, I didn't know he had a frozen mallet, but right, if you say, oh, my defense is ult, then I can walk away. Or if you say, if he does this, and even if I ult, I die because he has a QSS, then what's the answer to that?
If he has QSS and I ult and I die, what's my answer to that?
If you have no answer, what is your answer?
Don't even get in range.
Exactly. Don't get in range. Don't get in range. So what's range? This range. So now you know, right? This is like dragon range or whatever this is. So yeah. And then like what happens because of stuff like this, right? This is why we kind of focus on when I saw you miss opportunities like bot or whatever, I was like, don't worry about that. It's because this is more important, right? Because this is like Baron's gone, then you lose inhibitor or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Game-changing stuff.
Right. Don't worry about missing stuff. Worry about getting like played, if that makes sense. That's not really the right term.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I picked up from all of this is I need to break habits. Like
right.
Drone playing. Like I do this thing where it's kind of you're just playing like mindlessly, like not necessarily having a plan. Like I know I should have a plan. You know what I mean? But I'm not actively pursuing that every game, which is I think the big reason why.
Right. Always building good habits and breaking good habits is really what everyone's trying to do, right? This guy's just dead. Look at this. Even if Leona wasn't there, this Pantheon's dead, right? So what happens? Jax uses Gunblade, and then Pantheon dies. You get to a point where it's like, that's why it's like not really your job to go, right? It's because you want the split push to happen. And in this case, since the game is super accelerated, maybe you're like, oh, I can't go top because XYZ. That's fine, right? Because Ari's going to two-shot you. Now we're at the point of the game where it's like maybe it's unsafe, unless you have like your team nearby or something, right? So, so the answer is it's always going to be depends, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like honestly, I wouldn't worry about the farming stuff. What I would worry about is figuring out, like always making a plan, right? So basically, your mindset is, what do I want right now, right? And then how can they stop me, right? What do I want? How can they stop me? Say you wanted that wave bot. How can they stop me if Varus comes out? Can I beat Varus 1v1 for whatever reason? And you say yes because he has no flash and I can arrow him. Then you're good to go, right? And then that's like your basic at all times, right? So right now your plan would be I'm getting red. And then if something happens, that changes, right? If Shyvana ults, then that might change. That plan might change, right? So if this shit happens, this red thing might change, but it didn't because you can't ult that, right? So that's like the kind of plan. If you want to never play like blind again, that's how you do it. Oh wow. Okay. I don't know what's going on there, but it looks like you guys can fight mid because Ahri is bot, right? So you look for an ult, right? That would be my plan, right? That would be, if I were you, I'd be like, oh, Ahri's bot, I'm looking to ult mid, right? And if you can't find anything, that's fine. But you always need to be having something in mind. And then if you want to work on team fighting, it's what can stop me, right? If you say something as simple as a Nivea wall and you can't do anything about it because you're Ashe, and you say I have to stay out of range of a Nivea wall, right? Stuff like that. So this like, and then you say, oh, I'm gonna bait Varus because I have QSS. You can do that too, right? As long as you have a plan, you're good to go, right? So this guy's doing this shit. You don't send Jax, right? You don't need to go here. You need to stay mid so you can arrow. Oh, this is gonna be good because they're diving, I think.
I should have ulted that.
No. You can't ult anything, right? So why can't you ult anything?
No guarantee.
Right, no guarantee. This is what I'm thinking. Oh, I just hit this guy for free, and then if Ahri uses her ults or if she gets stunned, then I'll hit her, right? But otherwise, you wait for your opportunity, right? So you can just hit this guy for free because I don't know what he's doing, but he's killing himself. Okay, now you ult him, right? Because he flashed, and then you heal, you flash, doesn't matter. Boom, right? Even though it wasn't that well played, it was still the basic was still there, right? The basic plan was still there. Sure, you lost more HP than you should have, but it was like the right kind of idea, if that makes any sense, right?
Mentality. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the right, like, if you keep doing that, right? That's what we're really looking for, right? He does this, I do this, right? So that was really good. And sure, you might have to go heal, whatever, but as long as you keep working on it, that'll get a lot better, right? So
Right. I see exactly
right.
what you're saying. I think.
So it's good that you held on to your ult, because you could not have hit that Ari, right? Because what if Ari's plan is, I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna get hit and I just ult away, then you lost your ult for one charge of her ult, right? So it's not good trade, right?
Right.
So you guys have to defend.
Yep.
I don't know what this is, but
It's just
it's pushing out, right? This is just like now we're getting to all team. Everything's gonna be a team fight unless someone gets caught, right?
Yeah, I feel like right here I can't really push anything. Like it's just
That's
so
fine. That's
far
fine. Like
and-
if for whatever reason you can't, like this could be like Rengar, for example, who has 6 items, and you're like, yeah, you can't do anything unless you have 3 people with you or something like that. Then that's fine. It just depends on the game, right? Say their Ari is super scary, can't go there, so that's fine.
But to have the thinking that she's dead and I can't do is what.
Right. Say she has no ultimate, then you're like, oh yeah, I can definitely go. Like Rengar has no ultimate for 45 seconds. You're like, oh, push his wave and run, easy. Something like that. Or you say Pantheon's gonna stop me, but I have an answer to Pantheon, which is my QSS and my heal. You're good to go, right?
Right.
Nothing you can do. Right? As long as you come up with a plan. That's like the big thing, right? You need to always be thinking of like, what exactly are you gonna do, right? What exactly are you gonna do? Like if you ever watch like pros play and then they like die, it's because they weren't thinking, right? They either A, weren't thinking, they got caught by surprise, or B, they messed up the execution, right? The mechanics of it, right? That's it. Basically, that's what all these deaths boil down to, right? Getting caught by surprise, or you messed up the execution, right? Like that's like using QSS too early against TF gold card. That would be messing up the execution, right?
Yeah.
Or getting ulted on by TF by surprise and you die. That's getting surprised because you weren't expecting, right? So that's really what everything boils down to. Okay, so they're doing this shit. This is super risky by them. You just hit the closest guy.
No, I didn't.
This is kind of awkward because you had no Moo, right? So this is kind of scary because sure, you have a plan for one thing, right? Say your QSS is like, I can use it on Pantheon Stun or Verisalt, but what happens if they have both? Then you don't have enough answers, right? So this is, to me, this is like super scary because you're gonna.
I don't even have QSS anymore. So
Oh, that's awkward. Okay, yeah. So it's like, be super scary about that. They have other dragons, so they might win this. But yeah, everyone's got to run. You guys all got to run.
We're done.
Run! Yeah, I think someone's gonna die here, but
I think they flashed. Yeah.
everyone's dead now. Yeah. Oh, actually, maybe not. That was a nice arrow, but you gotta like hit this guy, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like if they can't, basically, whenever they can't stop you, it's like your time to like hit people for free, right?
Oh, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
But
I
honestly,
just fucking got out.
yeah, I guess there's like bigger fish to fry, right? Like don't walk up when you have no answer, right? So even though you did have GA, it was like you guys didn't want that fight anyways, right? Because you can't fight Elder Dragon, if that makes any sense. So
Yep. So this is where we just lose it. I mean, it's
yeah, it's like, so at this point, it's like, what can you do, right?
yeah, it's just like watching the game crumble.
That was a nice QSS. Yeah, so like obviously your mechanics are not in question. Like you can QSS turn like that. That's like really good.
Right.
It's about, can you come up with, like you can't QSS something you don't expect, right? Does that make sense? Like if Sujani ults from Fog of War, you were like, what happened? And then you QSS, but then it's already too late, right? So say I'm playing like Ezreal and I'm sitting in a bush and I say, like, your life depends on flashing my Q, right? And I sit there for 5 minutes. When is my Q coming out? You have no idea. But if you have a word in the bush, right, it's different, right? So it's because you're expecting it. You can see it. So you need to expect these things to happen, right? It's basically, can you predict like what's going to happen before it happens? Or can you come up with something for everything they can do, right? That's how you guarantee a win, if that makes any sense. So I would say the biggest thing to work on is like figuring out what you want to do at any given moment. Like when I paused and I was like, what do you want? And you have to come up with why. And then after that, you have to come up with how can they stop me, right? and
That's good.
I
Okay.
that'll be like the biggest thing. And then the second biggest thing is like the fighting aspect is like what do I like? What is their win condition and how do I stop it? Right. So sometimes you can't stop it, so you stay out of range, or you wait until they use it on someone else. But if you can stop it, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this to stop it, right? So if you're playing against Vlad and you say, okay, his win condition is landing all his abilities, so my counter is after he goes on me, he's gonna do the E max charge and then pull. I'm gonna flash the E max charge, and then that's how you win, right? Something like that. You have to come up with something though.
The at the end game, like kind of getting closer towards the end game, was that build path and build choice optimal? I guess. Like, do you feel like that was the right thing to build in this?
Honestly, it was fine. It looked fine to me, right? I had no qualms. You're not buying like fucking Ghostblade or some shit. I don't know. This is good. This is good. Don't do some crazy shit. This is like good enough, right? It's like you like did the build lose you the game? That's when you need to look at the build, right? Did the build lose you the game?
Right, right. That's why I was like, see, this is just a general question. Is in this situation, is IE better than Bork?
I wouldn't say so. It's not like you needed like insane like this seemed fine to me. You're playing. You're like your job is kill closest guy. So Shyvana's closest guy seems good to me. And Bork is really good against like Shyvana, right? Because you bork her and then she's like, oh, I guess I'm just standing here. This build is completely fine in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, it's more about like the way you play it. Unless the build is just like so bad, it's like it's always about the way you play it, right? Same goes for like champions, runes, masteries.
Yep. Yep.
Sure, it might not be optimal, but would it have made a difference? And the answer is usually not really. So right, I would say like in order to build like the good habits we're talking about today, it's like every game from now on, I want you to always come up with what am I like what do I want right now, right? And then can they stop me? Like how do I get it and can they stop me, right? And then if they can stop you, can you stop them from stopping you? If that makes any sense, right? Okay. This applies for like everything. You're looking at lane, you're like, okay, what do I want? I want level 2. How can I get it? I push. Can they stop me? And then if they can, you try and come up with a counter. And if they can't, you play along until they can stop you, right? Like we said, you can't really stop Varus from getting level 2 because you have Leona, who's like useless level 1, but you can try, right? And then same thing for like everything, right? After Baron, you're like, what do I want? Okay, you wanna push me in so you can get a bunch of towers, stuff like that. And then for like the fighting parts of it, if you think that you say you've done this like 7 games in a row, I think that's like as many times as it takes to build a habit or something like that. If you like do this every game and you're like, okay, I need to work on something else now, then you work on the fighting stuff like win conditions, countering win conditions, stuff like that, right? Saving your arrow, that's like all mechanics, right? Saving your arrow for the best target, right? Until it's like guaranteed, it's all mechanics, right? What do I do if they do this? But yeah, the first step is like stop the more like always be thinking instead of playing on autopilot, if that makes any sense. And remember that every game that you play that is on autopilot, win or lose, good or bad, is a step backwards, right? Because it's not helping you get better, right? That's like an important thing to mention because that happens to me sometimes too, and I'm like, holy shit, I just wasted my time because I was just playing without thinking, right? So that would be the biggest thing I would say for you to work on.
Hearing that from somebody, it like makes it stick more.
You know right. Of course, right? You always like it's always like, am I really right on this or am I right? You always need like other opinions, right? And it all helps. So, let me know how that goes, right? And if you ever like here's some ideas to like keep it in your head because I know it's like sometimes hard to do it at first, but I always say it out loud. I'm like, oh, okay, this game I'm gonna be thinking I need to do this, and then this is like my count. Oh, who can stop me, right? Yeah, say it out loud, and then you'll actually like think about it. So that's my trick. This is what I do. Okay. I look insane talking to myself, but sorry, what were you saying?
Do you take students back, like, or like if someone is coming to you for like coaching or whatever? Do you have a lot of repeat people that come back? Like,
sometimes, not always though. But if you do, I mean, like, there's no negative stigma attached to it or whatever, right? Yeah, feel free. And if you ever have like a question about like a 30-second clip or something like that, feel free to hit me up with that too, right? I'm
Okay.
always down to answer. So
Okay. All right. That
mhm,
works. Yeah. Big things I took away from the day is always have a plan. Watch the early game matchups like Leona's and the Thrashes, and realizing the power behind the picks and the win condition, lose condition. Like once
mhm,
again,
mhm.
like having a plan. Like if this person does this, then you do this.
Exactly,
Type of thing.
exactly. And every time you can't figure that out, you've already lost, right? It's like
Right.
it's like two
Yeah.
it's like two armies at war. The army
Yeah.
that's sitting around and not doing anything is gonna lose to the army that's prepared for everything, right?
Right.
They go to
And then
battle and it's like, oh shit.
right, and then not getting in the range of like people. Like
Yeah, if you have
if
no
you don't have
answer, don't go into range. Yeah, if you have no answer, don't
yeah.
go into range. That's a
Right.
classic mistake, right? Against like Syndra and stuff. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna definitely go ahead and jump back in, I guess, and kind of practice those things because, like I said, this is my Smurf, so it's not my wins and losses don't mean as much to me in that
mhm,
way.
mhm.
Because I got on the account just to say, hey, I want to get better, But
Sounds good.
I
Sounds
need to,
good.
yeah, I got a focus point, so I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yep. Do you mind if this goes on YouTube by any chance? You can come back and like look at this and rewatch
Uh,
everything.
yeah, sure, yeah, definitely. If you want to put it up, go for it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Definitely let me know how things go. And if you, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude. No problem. Man. Good luck on your games, yo.
Thank you. You too.